all of our students. Today, Chav Zayin Nisan. Nisan, the month of Geula. Nisan, the month of Aviv. Not 2 weeks since we sat down with our families at the Seder, celebrate the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Today is a day of silence. Today, something I hate to say to children, is a day of sadness. Today is a day that we learn about and remember a life that was, communities that were, families that were whole, and so much of that almost completely destroyed. So the reason why we're silent is because what can we possibly say? We like to understand the world. We like to understand the ways of Hashem, but we don't always. So sometimes what we need to do is to hear people's stories and hear about those stories that couldn't be told, about lives that were cut short, families that were cut short, communities that were destroyed. And at the same time, today, of Zayin Nisan, is a day where we will witness, and we will hear about incredible strength. We are living at a period in history where we can hear firsthand those stories. This is not ancient history. You're going to talk to people, you're going to hear from people who were there. You're going to hear about how they survived. And you're going to hear about how they rebuilt families, communities, cities, schools, and even countries. That's all part of this story. A few minutes ago, I was at the ELC. Our ELC students are not part of this ceremony. It's just a little too sad. But we had a gathering of ELC teachers, and I learned just one story that I hadn't heard before. One story of one family of one of our teachers. What a powerful story that was. And what a powerful story every story is. On Pesach, we had a responsibility to tell stories, Kol HaMarbel Saper HaReza Meshubach, stories of greatness. We're going to hear stories today. And I ask you to please remember those stories, because you will be the ones who will transmit their stories, these stories, to your own children and to future generations. So yes, today we're going to pause every hour. We're going to recite the names of Kedoshim, of those lives that were lost in the Shoah. Each grade will learn a little bit about what that means, and as you grow up, you'll learn more. But I promise you, you're never going to get all the answers. But you'll listen, you'll learn, you'll ask, and I'll hope that you will commit to telling these stories as we go further. Please rise for a moment of silence. We're in our own spaces, but we're together as a community, and we are blessed to have people with us who have so many stories to tell. Please remain standing for a moment as we light the candles. I am blessed to have my parents here with me this year. They came for Pesach. We haven't been together since the beginning of the pandemic. My father will be speaking to some of our fourth graders. We're grateful for his presence and for telling his story. I'm going to light the first candle. Memory of the people in my family and those lives that were lost, together with everyone else. Mora Golda Sturm, on behalf of Mr. Sam Martyr, who will be speaking to our fifth grade. Medina Steinberg, on behalf of George Blank, who will be speaking to our sixth grade. Rita Pulaski, in memory of her father, Dr. Moshe Avital, who has meant so much to our community, to so many communities here in New Rochelle and throughout the country and the world. His father was a true hero who was lost this year. Yehi Zichro Baruch. Rabbi Rosenberg will be speaking to the seventh grade. We ask all classes to light the candles that have been delivered to your classrooms. Bring us all together in memory. Please remain standing for the Kel Malei Rachamim, Rabbi Rosenberg.
El Molei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamsei Minucha Nechona, Tachas Kanafei HaShechina, V'ma'alos Kedoshim Utahorim, Zohar Horakia Mazhirim, Es Nishmos Sheish Milya Meos Rivavos Alafei Yisrael, Anoshim Vinoshim, Yeladim Viladot, Chalalei HaShoah Be'Europa, Shenehergu, V'shenishchatu, V'shenisrafu, V'shenitbeu, V'shenechneku, V'shenikberu chayim al kiddush Hashem, V'dei hameratzchim hanatzim ha'arurim v'yosreihem, Misha'ar ha'amim yimach shemam v'zechram, Kulam kiddoshim u'tehorim, Uvahem geonim v'tzadikim, Arzi halabanon v'yadirei ha'torah, V'gan Eden tehi menuchatam, Ba'avur shekulanu bli neder nitain l'tzedakah bi'ad haskarat nishmotehem, Lachein ba'al harachamim yastirein b'seiter kenafav li'olamim, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, ויזכור לנו עקדתם, ותעמוד לנו לכל ישראל זכותם, ארץ אל תכסי דמם, ואל יהי מקום לזעקתם, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימין, ונאמר אמן.
אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח. אני מאמין, אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח. אני מאמין, ואף על פי שיתממא עם כל זה, אחכה לו, אחכה לו, בכל יום שיבוא, בכל יום שיבוא, ואף על פי שיתממא עם כל זה, אחכה לו, אחכה לו, בכל יום שיבוא, בכל יום שיבוא.
The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yet. Perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against a white snow. Such a yellow, is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, penned up inside this ghetto, but I have found what I love. The dandelions called me, and the white chestnut branches in the court, only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last. Butterflies don't live in here, in the ghetto.
Leela?
This year, as an SAR 8th grader, I've had the privilege of participating in the Names Not Numbers program. Even when I was in the lower school, I had heard about the program from my sisters, but nothing could have prepared me for how special it is, how much I would learn, and how much it would affect me. Names Not Numbers is a program where students learn about how to make a documentary and conduct an interview. We then put these skills to use in creating a documentary about a Holocaust survivor. Each group of SAR students gets to meet with a Holocaust survivor, gets to know them, hear their story, and produce a documentary about them. As time goes on, there are fewer and fewer survivors left. I feel very fortunate to be able to get to know my group survivor, Dr. Zuzana Ojvad, and hear about her experiences. It is amazing to get her personal story and her eyewitness account. This takes this history out of a book and reminds me that the Holocaust is really not that far in the past, and that it changes the lives of people around me. It takes a historical event and makes it personal. Getting to spend time with Zuzana Ojvad is a privilege, and I'm honored that she's sharing her life story and experiences with me. As we commemorate the Shoah today, we should all remember those who lost lives and loved ones, and we should cherish those who are still with us. And especially in a year of COVID, when we have had to spend so much time apart, we should also understand how important it is to come together as a community to remember.
Thank you. Before we read the names of the Kedoshim, I'd like to ask Rila Slasky to say a few words. You may be seated if you're still standing. You may be seated.
My father, Dr. Moshe Avital, Zichrono Livracha, passed away this past Motzei Yom Kippur at the age of 92. He is now resting on a beautiful hilltop on Har HaMenuchot overlooking Yerushalayim. My father was born in Bilka, Czechoslovakia, and he was the youngest of 11 children. He was a Holocaust survivor who survived 7 concentration camps, death marches, illegal immigration to Eretz Israel, imprisonment by the British in Atlit, and finally a Haganah member fighting for the War of Independence, all before the age of 20. He was a walking, talking history book. I wanted to say a few words today in his honor. Since Yom HaShoah and Holocaust education was such an important part of his life and his mission. As an author, educator, and speaker, he decided to make it his mission to share his story so that we will never forget what happened. It was a long-standing tradition for him to come to SAR every year, to sing the Kel Malei Rachamim, and to speak to the older grades. As you can see from my t-shirt, he called his own children and grandchildren Yaldei Nisim, miracle children, because it was a miracle that he survived and built a wonderful and growing Jewish family. I am number 3, but now we are up to 18 with the grandchildren and 2 already born after his passing. When he would come to SAR and see all of you standing on the steps, he was so happy. It was a sea of Yaldei Nisim. Imagine all of you in blue Yaldei Nisim t-shirts, like color war, but all on the same team. Although Yom HaShoah was one of the saddest days of his life, seeing all the Jewish children, the next generation, the miracle children in front of him, was his comfort and joy. My father spoke to many audiences, young and old, Jewish and non-Jewish. He always finished with the following message. I practically know it by heart, and I quote, "2 major events drastically changed the course of Jewish history. One was the Shoah, the Holocaust, and the second was the Tkuma, the establishment of the state of Israel as a safe haven for all Jews. One cannot understand Jewish history without a thorough knowledge of these 2 events. He was part of both. For the first, I paid a heavy price with the loss of over 200 family members. In the second one, I am proud to have participated in the War of Independence as a member of the Haganah. I am now happy to say, Am Yisrael Chai."
Thank you, Reva. Father meant a great deal to us and told that story and those stories so beautifully, and we are forever grateful. We will pause every hour to recite the names of the Kedoshim. From the Abelman family, Mushum Laban. From the Eidler, Fromer families, Avram Diner, Sarah, Yosef, Rosa, Sarah, Yehudis, Herman, Yisrael Yaakov, Haber. Altman Perla families, Magda Stern. The Applebaum family, Ephraim Applebaum, Yisrael, Yehuda, Yocheved, Chapioka. From the Aronoff Wiener families, Saya, David, Hinda, Midela, Shandel, Simcha Bunim, Belfer. Auerbach family, Gittel Polishuk. From the Bachrach family, Lee Grossman. From the Back family, Donna Winter, Malkel Deutsch, Yisrael Bach, Errol, Miriam, Yudel Lewin, Anna Bach, Zalman, Sarah Goldstein, Hannah Zinger, Joseph, Hannah, Yisrael, Samuel Hecht. Bentheim family, Edith, Alyssa, Herman Rohr, the Benedict family, Robert, Susie, Michael, Anush Lowinger, Erica, Lawrence, Emmanuel, Rebecca, Gluck, Joseph, Samuel Benedict, and families. And the Bernstein family, Mendel Linus, Rivka, Meir Abend, Bendit, Gomel Spinner, Mirel Basev, Mordechai Ben Pinchas, Marcus, Tuna Blechner. The Block family, Viver Rabinovitz, Ita, Label, Wiener, Yitzchak, Liba, Yaakov, Zalman, Rabinovitz, Sadok Wiener, Razel, Mendel, Fleiberg, Hittel, Zelig, Shia, Shimon, Zelig. And the Buchweitz family, Moshe Buchweitz, Yudah Bear. The Buller Goldsmith families, Betty, Levi Tannenberg, Julius Abraham, Melinda Haas, and family. Adela Schnitzer and family, Aaron, Alter, Bullman. The Bullman family, Chaim and Slava Schwarzman, Ephraim Fischel Fried, Leah Schwarzman Katz, Leah Fried, Nussin Bullman, Razy, Fried, Rivka, Roisa, Shimon, Bullman and families, Sarah Schwartzman, Matilda Branstein, Matilda Brookstein. From the Cohen family, Wolf Turk. From the Eliach Garber families, Eliyahu Zev, Miriam Eckstein, Tzipora Zonenson. Yehi Zichram Baruch. Return to your classes. Grades 3 through 8 will have individual speakers. Let's have a meaningful day.
Say